for America. This is our How to Be Politically Active course. Again, it's kind of our foundational course. And I'm recording this tonight, so it will be up on our website. So if you like this and you want to share it with others, yeah, let them know that this recording is going to be up on the website. So if you could locate that chat feature in Zoom, we like to use that. I don't want this just to be me talking at you. You are in a room of like-minded people from all across the country. So go ahead and say hello and let us know where you're joining us from. So last year in 2023, we had over 5,000 people from across the country be joining us in our courses. So we love to be able to see where people are joining us from. Maybe you'll find people right from your own state in here. Matter of fact, that's how I actually found someone in South Bend, as they came to my course, and now she and I, we've been organizing together for a long time. And it all started out because she put it in chat where she was from. So go ahead and use that chat feature, and we'll be using it throughout the course. So again, if you need to locate that chat feature, you'll find it down at the bottom of your screen. If you can't see the word chat with the little icon, it could be under 3 little ellipses. So it depends on what version of Zoom and what device you are on. But I want to make sure everybody has a chance to say hello. I want to just start out laying the groundwork of kind of who we are. Building Bridges, we are collaborating. We work with the Democratic Party. We're Democrats. So where we stand, this comes from the Democrats platform that was founded back in 2020 when after at the last convention, presidential convention in 2020. So it says Democrats believe that the economy should work for everyone. Healthcare is a right. Our diversity is our strength, and democracy is worth defending. So I hope that is stuff that you that really resonates with you. And also here at Building Bridges, so our mission here at Building Bridges, so we want to mobilize and empower networks of relational grassroots organizers to create equitable and an informed electorate. And we use, so we were born out of Pete Buttigieg's presidential campaign way back in 2019, in 2020. So we continue to use the rules of the road, which is these core values: respect, belonging, truth, teamwork, boldness, responsibility, substance, discipline, excellence, and joy. So again, if all of those kind of values and that where we stand, if that resonates with you, great. And we're actually going to use that later on when we're talking about, why is this so important to you? What has brought you into this room here tonight? What makes you believe that this upcoming election is so important? Some friendly norms as we get underway. So we got a lot of people in the room, so it's just easy to if you could keep yourself muted unless you're the one speaking, just to keep that background noise down. Go ahead, like I said, use that chat. Post your questions in chat. We'll either get to them at the end, or you're in a room of like-minded people, a lot of great organizers from all across the country. Other people might be able to answer your questions for you. But yeah, we'll keep some time at the end for a Q&A. And I'm going to try and keep this to 1 hour. I want to be very respectful of everybody's time. We're all very busy. So let's keep this to 1 hour. So my name is Kaz Margana. I use she, her pronouns. I'm coming to you from South Bend, Indiana. Terry is also a fellow Hoosier, although she is just bragging there with her tank top on that she is currently joining us from Key West, Florida. So we can all as Hoosiers are a little jealous right now. And I show this slide. I don't want to really talk much about myself, but I do want to say I'm a volunteer. I'm like what they call a super volunteer. So I volunteer. I've been volunteering on campaigns going back to Pete's campaign back in 2019. So again, I'm just a super volunteer, but I use that relational organizing that we're going to be teaching tonight. I've used that in all the different various roles that I've had on campaigns, including now the campaigns going into 2024. So you're taking our first foundational class of our 8 classes that we teach. We'll be teaching these all year long. So we got several sessions, and so we got 8 classes that we kind of rotate through over the course of the year. So we've got a whole bunch of extra sessions coming up. So again, if you like this course, we'll be teaching it again in the next session that will be starting on March 21st. So we got links out there to if you want to sign up for others or other courses as well. So let's dive in. Let's dive into how to be politically active. First, let's kind of orient ourselves in what it means to be politically active. First, don't worry about taking notes and stuff like that. We have the slides out there online for you. So go grab those slides, download them yourself. We also have a workbook version of this. So we're going to be walking you through stuff. You can grab the workbook version and at your own time, walk yourself at your own pace through this stuff. So all that is out there on the website. Also, we're recording tonight. Like I said, this is going to be going up on the website as well. So lots of different ways that you can get to our stuff. Everything's free. We put everything out there for free. So and then also, yeah, just want to make sure you have access to that. So again, you don't have to worry about taking a bunch of notes. So again, let's start with a reorientation. Let me know if this kind of sounds may sound familiar. So this 2024 election, this year means a lot to you, and you want to do more. You want to do more than just show up to vote. So you want to volunteer. Maybe you want to organize. Perhaps you even want to run for office. And maybe it feels like you have all this passion in you and you take it either to your state party, your local party, maybe even to a campaign. And you bring all that energy to a campaign and you kind of get a bit ghosted from that campaign. They don't really respond or they don't return. Maybe you don't even, you fill out some form online and you never hear back. Right. So maybe you just don't get that response back to them that you're looking for. And then that kind of deflates you, right? Makes you feel like, you know, here you have all this energy that you want to put somewhere and you have nowhere to put it. Well, let me change that way of thinking. So instead, I want you to be thinking about yourself and that political power that you have within yourself right now. So rather than focusing on campaigns or parties, I want you to focus instead on yourself, because you have this amazing network of people all around you. That is exactly who these campaigns and these parties are trying to engage with. Well, you're already talking to them. You already have that wonderful network. And if you use that superpower within yourself to talk to those people, talk with those people that you already know, then that is going to build up that political power. And if you want to harness that and create what I like to call the magic, that is campaigns and building winning campaigns, that is taking that network, taking all those conversations that you have, keeping track of them, and then sharing that really good information about who those supporters are that you already know, sharing that then with the campaign and party. So that's what we're going to walk through today. So this little illustration, we're going to walk you through it step by step. So we're going to start with that story. So you want to be able to articulate why you care, right? Maybe you have all these feelings inside you about why this is so important, why 2024 is such an important year for us. But let's take some time to be able to articulate that in a quick, 30-second preparation. So it's not just candidates that need to have a quick little stump speech, right? We need to do it too. We're the ones talking one-on-one with so many people, especially a lot of people who may never hear from a campaign. Maybe they're not really politically active, not really tied in, watching the news, and they're not as much of a politics geek as you are. So, you want to be thinking about how you can talk about politics and why this is so important to you. how you can share that out. So like I said, stump speeches are not just for politicians, they're for you as well. So we're going to walk you through how to be able to articulate why you care. Next, we are going to then list your network. So make a list. So at any level of politics, that list of people that you know is like gold. That's the gold of any campaign. Well, it's your gold as well. So let's list those networks, list those people that you know, and let's be organized so we can be very progressive in how we do it and make sure that we are including everyone. Next, we want, when you're having these conversations, the most important thing to do in those conversations is to listen, and not just listen, to actively listen. So we're going to walk you through the skills of what active listening means, how you do it, and then that is how you are going to be able to open up, get people to open up, and then build trust between you and the people that you're speaking with. And then finally, last piece is to engage people, bring more people on board. I like to say democracy is participation. We need more people to participate. So making that ask to welcome others then to join you in participating in our democracy. So again, we're going to walk through how to tell that story, then how to list your network, how to actively listen to people, and then engage them, invite more people to participate. So first of all, if you are waiting for a campaign or your local party to give you permission to organize and talk to people that you already know, I'm letting you know, you have it right now. So boom, you have permission right now. You are an organizer. So your job is to go out there and to organize and be talking with those people that you already know. So you have that permission to go out there and use your voice and organize your network. I'm going to start with that story. So first question, type it in chat. What was the first political action you took that was beyond voting? It might be coming to this room. Signed up for a political organizing class, right? That might be it. And so everybody at least did that. But think, what was the first thing that you did beyond voting? So, I mean, maybe.
Okay, we've got donating,
Right?
Vietnam War protesting, canvassing, the grape and the lettuce boycott. Yes. They were volunteer for Bernie's, and there's a list is going on, a lot of canvassing, registering, volunteering for Bernie's campaign, contributing, phone banking, knocked on doors, was a voter inspector, protesting, calling for independent candidates, lit dropping. Someone says, I haven't been involved. I want to change the system.
Yeah, well, that's what you're in the right place to get started.
Yeah. And signing petitions, registering voters, precinct captain. There's this list. When you see it in the chat, it will be astounding. Fantastic. And I also just want to mention, we actually have some candidates for office who are on the call, so we know that we have some people who are on the front line right now.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody who is running for office. It's a lot of work, and but hopefully it will pay off for you. I like to use the run for something definition of you get to define winning for yourself. So I hope at the end of 2024, however it ends for you, it is what you define as a success.
Yeah, and we have county, the list is going on, so we'll have to, we have county chairs on here. We're at 92 people, Kaz, who are on this call. So
fantastic. And early January. I hope you guys feel this energy, and that's giving you some hope going forward, that Democrats have this energy on the ground here to start January off. And like I said, you don't have to wait. So the reason why I want you to think about that first time that you took political actions, I want you right now to visualize putting yourself in the shoes of that person you were when you first took that first action beyond voting. Put your shoes in that person, and then that's from that orientation, from the shoes of your first political action. That's how I want you to think and talk when you are speaking with people that you know. who may not be particularly, like I said, as much of a political nerd as you and I are. So again, be putting yourself in those shoes. So whatever that was, that first thing that you did, that was beyond voting. For me, I went to a watch party. I went to a watch party, a political watch party. So I put myself in the shoes of that person. I picture myself pulling open that bar door for the first time and, having no idea what I was walking into, right? So again, just if you can remember who you were at that time, and then yes, speak as that person when you go out talking. So that what you just did was a bit of self-reflection, of looking back and really thinking about what that was, what was that first thing that you did. Well, also, before you can go out and start talking to people and getting them to really understand where you're coming from, take a moment to do some self-reflection as well. Again, you want to be able to articulate that why you care. So if you take a moment to do a self-reflection, to first be thinking about, what are those core values, those things in your gut that are just telling you right now that we have to act now, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room right now that are feeling that in your gut. Well, what is that? What are those feelings? And then what are those core values? What are those things that you either want to protect or you want to expand? What are those things that you're feeling? And then recalling that time when you felt those values. One of those times could be that first time that you were motivated to do that more than voting. So really think about what was happening at that time that really pushed you forward to taking that action. And then we like to do what we call the turn. So then you turn from telling something very personal to then saying, how does those feelings, those core values, how are they reflected in either campaigns, or perhaps if you're working for the party and the Democratic Party itself, how is it reflected there? And that makes you then want to support them. And then fourth is to be thinking about articulating why it's so important that people act now. That what it is about this moment that is so important. So let's first talk about values. You might hear that a lot. You might hear the word core values, but what are they? Well, definition-wise, values are things that you value. So it's what you value. It is what is important to you. But it's important then to narrow that down and say, okay, well, your values, those aren't your morals. It's not things that are right or wrong. They're things that are important to you. And your values aren't issues or policies. Issues and policies might be important to you, but you need to dig down below that. Get down below that. What is really driving you to saying that this is something that is important? Because the reason why you want to do this is because we all share values. Those core values, we share them. We might interpret them in different ways, but if you're speaking from that gut level, beyond an issue, beyond a policy, but at that really gut level, then people will be able to understand you. So an example of a core value is freedom, right? People might interpret freedom in different ways, but if you say that freedom is important to you, that's what I call a nod along. People will nod along. They will agree with you. Yes, freedom is very important to me, right? So that is where you get that basis of understanding. So let's take it a little bit further and dig down past an issue and policy to find those values that drive us underneath. So an example of an issue that I hope is very important to you is solving our economic inequality, right? Creating economic equity. So if your issue is economic inequality, again, that's not your value. Maybe a policy like raising the minimum wage would be something that would solve that issue. And I hope, again, that that's something that's really important to you. But again, that is not the value. The value is what's underneath. That sense of justice, right? It's an injustice that there's inequality, right? Maybe just equity. Things should be equitable, and obviously economic inequality is not equitable. freedom. People should have the freedom to be able to sustain themselves and live a life of their choosing, right? So those are those core values underneath. It's different for each of us. When we hear the word economic inequality, right, we will all kind of come at it from different ways. You want to be very personal and very authentic when you're speaking. So find what it is to you that is really that's really important to you. So again, you want to take that issue and you want to do the work to kind of dig down. You would be asking yourself, how does this issue make me feel? And why do I feel this way? So again, you might hear economic inequality makes me feel angry because for me, it's not fair because it's justice. For me, it is an injustice. So justice is that core value that that then makes me feel like economic inequality is such an important issue. There's a whole lot of these values beyond those. So this is just a small little number of core values that you can speak to. I like to call these nod along words. So if you say any of these are important to you, people are going, no matter who you're talking to, people are likely to be nodding along and say yes, that they agree with you. So if you say security is important to me, communication is important to me, right? There's a bunch of stuff that these are your nod along words. You want to be able to start off a conversation with what things that you guys agree on. So again, if you can do that work to dig down past those issues, past those policies that might cause people to disagree, and you can instead start off on those things that we have in common, that's going to go a long way in getting people to understand you and then actually listen to you. So again, do that work to dig down and find those words that are really there in that core. And if you need help finding those words, we've already kind of talked about the where we stand. So this is the party platform. It's filled with a lot of those really good core values. So if you're looking for words, having trouble finding those words, well, that's a good place to get started. Also, if there are certain people, politicians, academics, friends, family, people that you think are very eloquent and you like the way that they speak, you know, go ahead and be mining them, copying and stealing from them. So I'm in South Bend. I love Mayor Pete. Or Secretary Pete. I will quote him ad nauseum. so he's the one I go to when I'm looking for what are those right words that really connect with how I feel. So find that person for you and go ahead, steal their words. I promise you, Pete doesn't mind, and I'm sure your politician of choice does not mind either. So now you want to take that and you got those core values, and now you want to be able to, like I said, do that next step of finding a time that really resonated with you. You want to, when you tell, any time that you tell a story, you want to make sure that it is a personal story, that is something that happened to you. It's not in theory, it's not a theoretical person. It is somebody, it's you or it's somebody very close to you. So that way, no matter who you're talking to, they are going to be invested in the story because it's coming from you and it's a personal story. Also, make sure that when you're speaking, that you are using those, again, sharing those core values, sharing that personal story, and you're not using things that we as progressives like to fall back on, things like facts. Because believe it or not, facts can get interpreted differently by different people. And again, you want to start that conversation out on the things that people are going to understand. So again, values, story. And don't start out by using facts. Also logic, common sense, not common. Morality, we all have different senses of right and wrong. We don't want to be talking about that. Again, dig a little bit deeper, start your conversations out with those core values and a personal story. So if you need a little primer, our workbook walks you through this of how to, of like a little template of what to say. So first you start with your feelings. How are you feeling, right? So right now I feel, really, really kind of terrified. Sorry, it's like we are going in 24. So I'm going to be honest, going to say I'm a little terrified. because freedom is something that's really important to me. And I'm a woman in Indiana, so freedoms were just taken away. And I believe that women should be fighting to get them back here in Indiana. And that's why I currently am supporting Heidi Beidinger, who's running for US for Indiana House, who will then be fighting to get those rights back to me. And yeah, I'm going to be going to a coffee on the 17th. Would you like to come with me? Right? So yeah, that's my little stump speech, starting with that feeling, how I feel, and be honest, be vulnerable. Like, the basis of trust is vulnerability. So if you are able to open up and be a little vulnerable, then the person you're talking to is going to reciprocate that. It's also reciprocal. So that starts to build that trust. Again, because freedom is important to me, right? I'm just talking about a core value. I'm going to get them nodding along, right? There, because freedom would be important to you too. Share a time that I felt that core value again that day when I woke up and I didn't have those freedoms and me and my kids didn't have those freedoms. Terrifying. So I shared that personal story. And then I make that turn over to a campaign or candidate that then is aligns with how I feel. And then do that that engagement piece of asking people to come along with me. So again, that's in our workbook, is so you can do this on your own time, is be walking through what those core values are, what that story is, and then what making that flip over and just getting these things down pat. What I like to say is that you're doing all this homework ahead of time. You're doing this self-reflection. So you're coming up with these little 30-second pitches of what to say. And then you're putting them in your back pocket, right? It's just going to give you that confidence that when it is your time to speak, that you are going to be able to say something that is something that no matter who you're talking to, they're going to be able to understand. So again, put this in your back pocket, because we are moving on to be talking about listing your network. So again, another question put into chat. Who is the last adult person you spoke to today? Who's the last adult person? And then just type your relationship to that person in the chat. So
let's see, we've got a spouse, that's a very spouse, sister. I talked to the lady at the post office.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, it's the significant other, co-worker. There's a Democrat meeting. Was it a Democrat meeting right before this? A child gas station attendant. Excellent. A friend, former co-worker, community. It's interesting because I think people are because I guess it's the evening. So for us here on the East, in Eastern time zone. So probably we're at home, but if you're on a little bit farther out, you might still be at work. Another volunteer. So yeah, that's who we're seeing here.
So think of that person, that last person you talked to, just keep them in mind, right? Think of that last person you talked to. Last person I talked to, I was talking to my kid, Max. So Max, adult child Max, is the last person that I was talking to. So I'm going to keep Max in mind, right? While we go through this next exercise. So listing your network means just that. Start making a list of people you know. We all got one person to put on their list. So I would start my list off and we'd put Max on the list. The concept is that you make a list of all the people that you know, and then you make a plan to be intentional to go talk to them. Obviously, these are people you talk to anyway, right? You've talked to them during the course of your day. The difference is now we're saying that, you want to be intentional when you talk to people, just to be, again, put them on your list and just be figuring out where they are at in terms of their support for various candidates and causes going into 2024. And then you want to track it. You want to write it down. That's called, in campaign speak, that is our data. But for you, that's your tracker. You just want to keep track of where your friends are at, where your friends and family are at. And then because, again, these are people that you already know, you're going to talk to them all the time. you want to be making that plan to be intentional at some later point to come back around and to talk to them again. So let's walk you through this. So when you're making that list, like I said, you already got one person on your list. When you're making that list and you're trying to think, it's like, gosh, I really don't know that many people. You'd be surprised when you start thinking about how many people you know, how many people you talk about. So I know, Terry, you talk a lot about people in your swim class, right? So in an exercise class. We had people mention coworkers, friends, family, right? There's a whole bunch of people that are people that we already know, that we talk to regularly. Could be a barista, could be, you know, waiter at your favorite restaurant, a bartender, right? These are people that are in your network. So start making a list of all of these people, like literally physically write them down. If you need a prompt, we got a prompt in our workbook here, where you can think of 3 people who you know are going to vote. They're going to come out, they're going to vote. Can you think of 3 people in your life that you know that? Write them down. And then are there 3 people that you're not even sure if they're registered to vote? Right? Write them down. Both those groups, both people that are definitely going to come out to vote and people that are not registered to vote, are very important groups for us to be reaching out to. So you want to have both of them on the list. And then make a job easy for yourself. Put the 3 easiest people to talk to. So maybe your best friends, your sisters, whatever the easiest people it is in your life to talk to. Throw them on the list, right? Give yourself an easy task, but then also give yourself a challenge and put people on your list who you've never spoken to about politics before. Because when we get to the next part about talking about politics, we've shown that we're not actually, you know, using political talk. So we're talking about politics in a different way. So you don't need to feel too nervous about putting people on the list who've never talked politics before, because that's not what you're going to do. That's not what we're asking you to do anyway. And then I like to have that person that you wish would support your issue. So the person that you would most like to get on board, I will cheat. That used to be my kid Max. So I gave myself a challenge, and and you know, it continues to be a challenge, but you know, got them. They came out to vote. So it's this like continue to have those people, those real challenges for yourself. Give yourself goals like that you can accomplish. So again, you want to be making that list. Now that list can be in any kind of format. It can literally be a piece of paper. My friend showed me her list the other day. It was in a notebook, like, you know, just a spiral notebook where she had her list written out. So it could be like that. We're also getting in, as campaign starts to come online. There's going to be some tools and stuff that they're going to have. You know, it's great for once those come online, if you already have your list in whichever way that you keep it. So again, piece of paper. I'm a data nerd, so I have spreadsheets. So of course I have spreadsheets. so whatever format is easy for you to be able to make that list and keep up to date. And the reason, again, why we why you want to actually write all of this down, one is to be organized. Is, you know, make it so it's less work for yourself later on, and you already know who those people are. You know who you've talked to. You don't have to think about it. It's all just written down. Also, you want to be inclusive. So when you're making that list, you want to include everybody, right? Don't leave somebody off the list. Everybody deserves a chance. Everyone deserves to participate in our democracy. So yeah, make that list and include everybody on it, because yeah, like I said, inclusion is a really important value. And then 3, keep in mind that this list, this is your power. So any political campaign, party, whatever, that list of people that are in their network that they can then talk to, that is their gold. So any campaign, they talk about their email lists. Email lists are really important to campaigns because they are so powerful. That is how a campaign can reach out to people. Well, this is your power as well. So political power isn't just for certain people, it is for you. This is your power. And then this is also data. Like I said, this goes to campaigns. This is how campaigns, they try and control what they can know, which means that they try and determine, how many supporters do they have, or, do they look like they're going to have enough support? Are they going to need to do more work? There's also money that goes into that data. So every mailer that's sent out, every text that's sent, every door that is knocked, that costs money. If they already know that person is going to vote, then because you told them, hey, this person's going to support, that's less money that they need to go out and raise and spend. So again, use this because this is data. This is very valuable. So again, take that time to keep that list and to keep it up to date. So, okay, let's do a quick check-in. We've just gone over the halfway point. So do a quick check-in on where we're at. So we've talked about that personal why, being able to articulate that. You've got the in the workbook on your own time, you can go through and be able to really articulate that why. That's your homework, and then you can put it in your back pocket. You got your list. So you now know to make a list of all those people, including the person that you put into chat saying that you had the most recent person you talked to, they're on your list. So you got that list. That's your to-do list. These are the people you need to go out and talk to. So that person that you just mentioned as being the most recent person you've talked to, they're on your list. They're on your to-do list to go talk to. But now comes the kind of scary point. Now you need to be intentional when you talk to them. You need to be intentional to be able to talk about politics, to find out where they're at in terms of their support in 2024, and that can be a little scary. So again, let's walk you through and let you show why it is not that scary of a task to actually have those conversations. Because when you have those conversations, you're actually going to not be the one doing most of the talking. You're going to be asking questions, and you are going to be getting them to do that work that you did to dig down past all that to find what was really driving you in the gut. You want to be leading them through that. You want them to be thinking about this. A lot of people don't often have a space to be able to really be sharing about how they feel. So be that person that walks them through to be able to really identify how they're feeling, what they're thinking. So again, you're not going to be doing a lot of talking. You're going to be doing what's called active listening. So we're going to walk you through the skills that are involved in active listening. First of all, orient yourself when you go in, your intent, you have that intention. Okay, this time when I talk to that person, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to talk about politics. Well, it's not going to be the way that you normally think about talking politics. The conversation style that you want to be using is called a dialogue. So the other conversation styles are discussion. Discussion is what you often see the talking heads on cable news. They're having a discussion. One person's sharing their point, another person's sharing their point, and then they're going to opposite sides, right? That's not what we're doing here. And it's certainly not a debate. Most people, when they think about talking politics, they think about a debate because that's what they know. That's the one time that they tune in, is to watch a presidential debate or something like that. So in a debate, they're used to this arguing loud, talking over each other, going back and forth, trying to be right. That's not what we're doing here either. When you go into this conversation, you want to be having a dialogue. A dialogue means that you go into it wanting to understand more than you want to be understood. So you go into it open-minded and curious. You really want to know, what is that person? How are they feeling? If they share how they're feeling, well, tell me why. Tell me, have them dig down and find that core, what is driving them. So again, you're going to be really focused on listening when you have these conversations. You're not going to be doing much of the talking. You're going to be leading that conversation. You're going to be asking those questions until you understand. So you want to start off then with an opening question. So when you're having a conversation, now you want to change the conversation because you told yourself you're going to be intentioned to change this conversation. You can start with a very light opener with a personal fact. You got to cheat because you're here today. So one thing you can definitely say is I signed up for this organizing class because I feel the need to do more than vote in 2024. How about you? How are you feeling about this election? Right? So you can start with the very fact. There's no politics in there at all. You're just saying that the election is important to you. And then you're just immediately handing the microphone over to the person and saying, how about you? How are you feeling about this election? Or you can use a timely opener, so something that's happening in the news. So you can say, I was relieved that the library board rejected that book ban. What about you? What do you think about that? So again, something maybe that's in the news, you can bring up and then immediately hand that mic over. So the grand total of the words that you had to speak at this point were just that opening line and then handing the mic over. And then what you want to do after that is you want to practice active listening. So that means that no matter what they come back and say, you want to stay open. If you're a body language person, I like to keep my arms open, stay open and really just listen. Sometimes you have to fight your instinct to push back or defend because that's not what we're doing here. All right. You're not identifying the places where you guys disagree and then pointing them out. You're letting those things you disagree on pass right on over you. And what you're trying to find is you really want to understand where that person's coming from. And then you want to find the things that you have in common and you want to speak to those. So you're letting a lot go. gotta really fight that instinct to defend. And kind of a go-to to be curious, to have, like they call it, a door opener to get that person to keep speaking. My go-to one is tell me more about that. I have it just programmed in me that when someone starts speaking, I'm really curious. I really want to know, where are they coming from? So no matter what they come back and say, I say, tell me more about that. Right. So again, it would diffuse any tension that might come along, just because, again, you're not pushing back, you're open. Tell me more about that. And then you're using these really good active listening skills to be able to get that person to keep speaking and to be opening up and really sharing where they're coming from. So this is our active listening guide. Again, it's in the workbook, is this active listening guide. These are habits, really good habits to get into, to be having these really rich dialogues and getting people to open up. Because again, you want people to be able to open up. So when it's your time to speak, you pull your homework out of your back pocket, it's your time to speak. One, they're more ready to listen to you. And then also, if you are able then to, if they were able to open up and be a little vulnerable, then you're able to open up and be a little bit vulnerable. You're right there. You're creating that trust. So again, our active listening guide, we talked about those door openers. So down there, use door openers to get them engaged and to keep talking, telling things like, tell me more about that, or, oh, that's really interesting. I have another one that I like to use, that if I hear them repeat a talking point, like something that wasn't them, they're just like regurgitating something they heard on Fox News. I like to say, you know what, I think I've heard that before, but tell me what that means to you. Right. So again, door openers, to just keep handing that microphone back to the person and getting them to continue to talk. Some obvious ones are on here. Don't argue. Again, not a debate. It's a dialogue. So if somebody does start to get a little emotional, you can say, I can see that you are upset, or I can see that this is frustrating, right? Recognize, feel them, see where they're at. So again, these are great habits to get into, to be able to have really good conversations, to get people to open up more, and to avoid getting into any kind of debates. This is the new way of talking about politics. Often what happens is it creates this new space they weren't expecting. Sometimes these can be very profound conversations for people because they've never been asked about their feelings on some of this stuff before. So they're kind of going to be feeling it out for themselves. So yeah, this I will say you kind of get addicted once you start having these good conversations, because one, you get so much out of it. You learn so much from other people. You learn to get rid of your biases pretty fast. And then also for that other person, that they're really able to explore and open up in ways they might not have been able to before. So again, this is in your workbook. I recommend grabbing it and using it and getting these things, start using these and then making it a habit. And finally, you want them to engage. So once you've gotten that person, you've asked them questions, you've understood where they're coming from, and you're able to make a connection. Let's say they have something where you can say, oh, me too. Oh, I feel that way too, right? Once you find that moment that you think that you really understand where that person's coming from, that's when you pull out your homework from your back pocket. You pull that homework out and then you engage them in saying, you know, I'm feeling a little terrified because freedom is important to me. If we don't use our right to vote, I'm afraid we're going to lose it altogether. So I signed up for this organizing class. I'm going to the class on Thursday. Will you come with me? All right. So you were able to get that person to open up a little bit. Now you can open up a little bit again, bringing out that homework. And now you are both sharing them, right, getting them to understand where you're coming from, and then engaging them, offering them to come along. And then after you have that conversation, what you want to be doing is you want to be keeping track. How did it go? Did you talk to your significant other or whoever that person was that was the last adult person you talked to, right? If I talk to Max, if I talk to them about it, are they on board? Are they ready to support already? Oh, I'm going to write that down. Oh, they're all in, right? Maybe they're not there yet. Maybe they're like, you know, it's just like, then I write that down. Oh, okay. I got to circle back. I got to come back around and talk to them, you know, to talk to them more. Maybe they're saying, nope, I'm fully on the other side, right? Maybe they're supporting the opponent. Write that down. That's really important data to know as well. So you want to write all of that information down. And again, that becomes that magic that you can then share over to the campaign. Again, that is your political power that you can bring to a campaign. So you can go in, you know, if that campaign, you go into a campaign and you let them know, it's like, hey, I got 20 people that are going to support you, right? They're going to listen to you. They're going to listen to you. So again, you use it as your political power. So yeah, be ready to share that list with the campaign. Again, depending on what the campaign is, or, you know, if it's your local party, something like that, it could just your paper list might be all that they have the capacity to take on and be able to use. Some campaigns will use Minivan. They might give you Minivan, and you can go into Minivan, look people up and record data that way. Other campaigns, there's other tools out there, like Rally is one that I'm hoping that we can start using here in Indiana. I think the Biden campaign is planning on using the Reach tool again, like they did in 2020. So if anybody used that in 2020, believe that they're planning on using that again. So you have this list, you are ready. You don't have to wait for these apps to come online. You already did your homework. When these apps come online, you're running to the front of that line because you already know where people are at, where they are at their level of support. So do the work now, do the homework now, so you can run to the front of that line when those apps do become available, or like I said, for a campaign, once they get underway, you've already done your work. You've already done a lot of the work. All right, so a couple of last things is we've kind of touched on, if you're afraid of having those conversations, if thinking of talking to some people on your list are scarier than talking to others, again, just remember that if you are afraid about encountering that tension, first, like you said, you want to be fighting that instinct to defend. This is a very different way of having a conversation. You're not getting into a debate. You're just listening. You're just listening and then sharing, like I said, what you've already prepared. Again, use those words. Tell me more about that. Get them thinking and feeling for themselves. Get them beyond talking points. A lot of times it might be the first time they've ever had to think beyond and speak beyond talking points. Avoid those facts, logic, and morals. Really stick to those core values in that personal story when you're starting out these conversations. Again, make it personal. And a big one I want to say is you give yourself permission to walk away. Your relationship with that person is more important. I like to say all the time, it's just politics. So your relationship is the most important thing. So if you think that by continuing having this conversation, it's going to either diminish your relationship or whatever, just again, it's just politics. Give yourself permission to walk away from any conversation. I like to say, you changed that conversation, you started it, you can finish it, you can walk away from it as well. You do have permission to do that. And lastly, I want to say that when you go into these conversations, also thinking about fatigue, nobody likes talking about politics for that much, unless you're talking to your super excited, very political nerds. Most people don't like talking about it for that long. So really limit that political talk. First of all, if you talk to somebody and I don't care if it's the best, greatest political conversation you've ever had in your life, cut it off at 20 minutes. So you want to be able to cut that off, because you want to be avoiding that fatigue. 2024, it's a long year. There's going to be a lot of politics flying in these people's faces. Let's avoid that fatigue. Also, just keep in mind when you're having these conversations, you might not be getting people all the way from all the way to support. Yes, I'm definitely going to come out in November and vote. Right? You're not going to get them all the way there. So just be thinking that you just want to be making little touches every time, not every time you talk to them either. I like to say, people in my family know me as being very political. So I purposefully don't talk about politics very often. Every now and again, I bring it up, right? Every now and again, I intentionally bring it up, but not all the time. So the worst thing would be if my family saw me coming and say, here comes Kaz, she's going to be talking about politics and they're going to shut me out. Nope, I only bring it up every now and again. So again, be thinking about maintaining those relationships first, and then secondary is touching on this over time. All right, so that's the end of our course.